just talk about this though. In 1960, your dad walked into that factory with a borrowed $20 bill.
Correct.
And he managed to buy the company and take it down to Broken Arrow, Oklahoma. How'd that happen?
Well, it wasn't very easy. He was a school teacher, had no money, but he heard the factory was for sale. And so he wanted to rush up here and see if he could make a deal on it, because there was a rumor it was going to be sold. What was really funny about that, when he came and made the deal and said, I'll take it, and he had borrowed $20 bill on him, he found out that it was his own rumor. He'd said he'd wanted to buy the company a year before, and a year later, the rumor came back around and said somebody from Oklahoma wants to buy the factory. So he rushed up here and bought it before somebody else did.
He beat himself to the sale.
He did, but he got it. And it's a real story on how he raised the money to do it, and then moved 700,000 pounds of parts. You can imagine doing that in 1960, but he did, and they got it all done, and the rest is history. But he was on the cover of 7 major automobile magazines, was even in Encyclopedia Britannica, because building a new modern version of an original mark had never been done before in history.
And you were here that whole time. I mean, you helped take all those parts back down to Oklahoma.
I was 7 years old when he bought the factory. So the Auburn-Cord-Duesenberg Museum was the factory, and I wandered through there as a little kid as they were loading parts up. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. The interstate wasn't out there. We drove down the old highway from Fort Wayne, and 2-lane roads all the way here, in the back of a pickup truck. It's the way Dad brought us. Didn't even ride in the back seat. He put 3 kids in the back of the pickup truck.
Why didn't he want to stay here in Indiana, though?
He said, I do not want to buy the building itself and move to Indiana because it's too cold here. He said, I'm going back to Oklahoma. Oklahoma can be pretty cold, but he didn't want to live in Auburn because he said it wasn't home, and Oklahoma was.
Yeah, a little too chilly up here. I understand that. I grew up in Kansas, so a little more humid down there,
we
too.
don't get quite this much snow. We might get a little bit, but not like you guys get up there.
So you've been coming here since what,
The very first Auburn reunion was in 1956, and all the club guys that owned Cords showed up here, and they had their first parade. In fact, the old Auburn Hotel was the only hotel in town, and a lot of the guys were sleeping in sleeping bags out in front of the courthouse. And they said, even the local police said, what are you guys doing here? And they said, well, we're here for a reunion. There's no place to stay. Until 1956, when they had the first parade, I was 3 years old. And my sister was here too, but my mom was pregnant with her, so she can say she was at the first one too.
Oh my gosh. So 3 years old, you've been coming up here. How's it changed?
It's changed really dramatically. I mean, the town is the same, and it's a beautiful town, but we've watched the transition with the club, and then it becoming the Auburn-Cord-Duesenberg Festival, and then the museum getting built. So lots of changes, and then the amount of people that show up here now. It was a bunch of car guys showing off their Cords and Auburns, and now there'll be 250,000 people show up here. I mean, it's a big deal. But the love of cars, and Auburn-Cords and Duesenbergs especially, and then this Auburn-Cord-Duesenberg factory that's now the finest car museum in the world is right here in this town. And it's like, I get chills every time I drive back to Auburn because I love it so much.
And you're doing your part too in preserving these cars, because you're kind of keeping all the old parts around for everybody that wants to be able to work on their cars.
Well, there'll be over 500 original Auburn-Cords and Duesenbergs here, and there probably will not be one single car here that doesn't have parts that have come from us, because we're the factory. And so if they need something to repair their cars, they called us. So yeah, we've supplied all these original parts, plus we built the second generation cars, and now we're building, I guess what you're going to call a third generation car, which is an original car.
So tell me about that car a little bit, because that's quite the spectacle. It's going to be really cool.
Yeah, this has never been done before. As when the first second generation cars came out in 1964, it had never been done. Now it's pretty commonplace, and they're calling them replica cars. We're not replica cars. We're the factory who built original cars. But now we're taking original Auburn chassis, so original cars born in 1935 and 36. We're adding superchargers to them, just like the original, increasing them to 250 horsepower, and produce a car that is 1935 that'll drive like a modern car. Built the exact same way that the factory built them back then, all steel bodies, except we put 13.5 pounds of boost in the supercharger instead of 3.5 pounds boost. We put modern aluminum billet pistons and rods in them, and upgrade the brakes, upgrade the steering, and so now you can go really fast. In an original Auburn Speedster in 35, 36, you're going for $1 million. So You can buy one of the new upgraded ones that are as nice or nicer than the $1 million ones, and you can go drive them, and they're only $750,000.
Only $750,000, but I mean, there's a lot that goes into it.
There is, and so we've got a waiting list of people wanting them. It's building this third generation original car. It's never been done before, and so we've started right now on the very first one. Is in production right now as we speak, and we've got 2 or 3 people here at the show wanting to get their names on the list to get the next ones. We don't know if we'll build a half a dozen of them, or if we'll build 20 of them, but as the orders come in and people get their names on the list, we'll see where it goes.
This is pretty exciting for you.
It is. It's real exciting. Yeah, again, it's something that's never been done before.